Lightning Max and Smile Man are defeated by a monster that suddenly appears in a city and starts causing chaos. A reporter describes what happened, but the program abruptly ends, and Saitama, a bald man, decides to depart. A girl is going to be killed by the monster until an approaching Saitama shows up and saves her. The creature identifies himself as Vaccine Man and declares that he has been created to destroy humanity because of their pollution of the planet. Then Vaccine Man turns into a huge behemoth that Saitama decimates with a single blow. Saitama yelled in rage after the monster was slaughtered with just one punch. The episode then cuts to a flashback 3 years before to his emergence as a hero, depicting an interaction between an unemployed Saitama and Crablante, a guy who developed crab-like traits after consuming an excessive amount of crab. The creature spares him, telling him that it's looking for a young man with a big chin. Right away, Saitama runs into the kid, who turns out to have used a permanent marker to draw nipples on Crablante while he was dozing. Saitama resolves to protect the infant when Crablante discovers them and kills the monster by ripping out its eye stalk with his necktie. A huge guy ravages the city, while modern-day Saitama thinks back on the incidents while shopping. The man is a byproduct of an experimental steroid named Biceps Brachii King, created by the older brother's mad scientist. As the two set off to conquer the world, the older brother was shocked to see Saitama perched on his younger sibling's other shoulder. He accidentally kills himself by commanding the giant to murder the man perched on his shoulder. The infuriated younger brother fights Saitama and appears to defeat him before complaining that despite being the strongest man alive at this point, he still feels empty. After escaping unharmed and declaring ultimate power boring, Saitama beats the monster and unintentionally destroys B City. When he gets home at night after killing the giant, a strange being notices him and reveals himself to be Super Custom YO649ZMK2. Saitama merely stares at Super Custom YO649ZMK2 as he boasts about how much he loves to create custom cars to the point where he decked himself out and transformed into a monster who loves custom cars. The monster then taunts Saitama's bald head, which causes Saitama to punch him once, killing the monster. The next morning, he wakes up to find himself in the middle of an invasion of the surface by overpopulated subterranean people who have already exterminated 70% of humanity. Surprised by their strength, he deems them worthy opponents and engages in a mighty battle. At the moment where he has defeated a great number of them and is about to fight the Subterranean King, he wakes up to discover that it was only a dream. He is dismayed when the Subterraneans immediately surrender, after he easily beats their monarch, and they display a white flag that says, "Sorry about that," after discovering a true invasion by them outside. Genos, who was initially pictured standing in a field of decomposing cow corpses, turns and starts to move in the direction of Z City. The TV announces that the recent enormous mosquito swarm is moving towards Z City, where Saitama resides as he waters his cactus. Each time he tries to kill a mosquito, he is unsuccessful. A thief, taking advantage of the circumstances in the deserted city, has his blood drained by the insects, which Mosquito Girl is in control of. Genos, a cyborg who is unaffected by the swarm, battles with her as they both steal limbs from each other. She then gains strength by ingesting the blood that her swarm collected from the animals in the nearby wilderness. This results in a one-sided fight between her and Genos, but Saitama kills her with a single slap. Saitama agrees to Genos' request to become his student out of wonder. Genos appears at Saitama's door days later, much to his annoyance. He explains his situation and his history between him and the mad cyborg in a long-winded monologue which frustrates Saitama. In another location, a man decides to kidnap Saitama for his experiments after analyzing Mosquito Girl's defeat in a covert facility. The messenger from the House of Evolution enters Saitama's apartment, interrupts Saitama and Genos' talk, and is swiftly wiped out. Saitama is later imprisoned underground as Genos engages in combat with Armored Gorilla, another cyborg, but he soon manages to escape. The beaten cyborg, who panics upon realizing the rest of his crew has been annihilated, is questioned after he swiftly dispatches his two opponents. The team's fate in Z City is being discussed as Dr. Genis enters the scene, and when his subordinates turn around, it is shown that they are all clones of him. The narrative tells the tale of Dr. Genis, a brilliant young scientist with plans to artificially evolve humanity, but finally lost faith in humanity and found the key to immortality, leading him to create numerous copies of himself. Armored Gorilla then reveals that Dr. Genis is interested in Saitama's constitution, after which Saitama interrupts the narration out of frustration, until Genos clarifies that Genis needs Saitama for his experiments. Saitama and the cyborg decide to launch an attack right away because tomorrow is store discount day. Armored Gorilla denies Geno's question regarding any cyborgs that were active 4 years ago and devastated any villages before they left. The House of Evolution chooses to unleash Carnage Kabuto unwillingly and lays traps across their facilities in anticipation of Saitama's arrival. When they get there, Genos uses a single blast to completely destroy the above-ground complex before going underground. Genos and the freed Carnage Kabuto engage in combat with neither party suffering any injuries. Then Carnage Kabuto challenges Saitama, but backs off after realizing Saitama's true strength. Saitama then reveals to the room his somewhat mundane daily training regime of 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and 10 kilometers of running, much to Geno's disbelief. Carnage Kabuto unleashes his Carnage mode and appears to be beating Saitama back, but it transpires that Saitama was just shocked by the realization that the store discount day was that day instead of the next, and defeats Carnage Kabuto easily, leaving soon after with Genos to catch the rest of the discount day. Having witnessed this, Dr. Genis abandons his plans of artificial evolution and realizes that he is the one who must change. After the credits, officials from the Hero Association inspect the House of Evolution blast site and discuss Geno's destructive power. Elsewhere, Saitama appears to be having a nightmare about playing rock, paper, scissors with someone who has a booger on their finger. Suddenly, he is angered to find out that Hammerhead has made it so that having a bald head makes you dangerous. He runs out to put an end to it. Meanwhile, Zenru hires his own bodyguard to protect him against the movements of Hammerhead and his gang. His bodyguard is named Speedo Sound Sonic. He faces the bald group on their way to Zenru's lair and warns them that nobody usually survives after facing him in a fight. In just a few seconds, Sonic beheads just about all of the Hammerhead bald group. Elsewhere, Saitama is getting called a terrorist for his bald head. Finally, only Sonic and Hammerhead remain. Hammerhead manages to escape with his life, but then runs into Saitama in the forest. Hammerhead prepares to fight him by powering up. Saitama punches his entire suit off, seemingly feeling sympathy for him. Hammerhead runs away naked. Then Sonic shows up and tries to attack him, but Saitama explains that he's not one of Hammerhead's followers. But now that Saitama has blocked his attacks, Sonic still feels he must beat him. Saitama accidentally punches him in the crotch. Sonic then declares that he will train until he can beat him, while he barely stands from that one punch. Back at home, Saitama tells Genos to leave him alone, as he has a serious problem to solve. The problem is, nobody has any idea who Saitama is, despite all of his accomplishments. Genos tells him to sign up on the official hero register online. Saitama and Genos will eventually register as heroes, but not before they must successfully complete a physical and written test to establish their eligibility. Saitama easily outperforms both those who took the physical examination and themselves. He performs exceptionally well on the physical examinations, but less well on the written portion. Genos receives a perfect score and is given S rating, whereas Saitama only receives C rating for passing the test by 1 point. Out of all the applicants, only Saitama and Genos will really be enrolled in a class that Snek will be teaching. However, Genos and Saitama are undoubtedly stronger. Unfortunately, the class, a teacher is overconfident in his abilities. The teacher then becomes irritated with Saitama in class for being disobedient and tries to teach him a lesson, only to embarrass himself. Genos wants to fight Saitama later that day because of Saitama's most recent enhancements. Genos continues to have doubts about Saitama's top-secret training method and believes there must be another one that not even Saitama is aware of. While Saitama is playing around and not paying much attention to the battle, Genos is giving it his all in the spar. When Saitama finally gives it all, the fight ends without a single blow being delivered by Saitama. Genos then realized that Saitama is on a level that not even he can pass by a training alone. After the training, they go to a udon shop where they participate in an eating competition. Genos easily wins, while Saitama comes dangerously close to passing out. All of a sudden, Sweet Mask entered and asked to talk with Genos outside. Much to Genos' surprise, Sweet Mask came to congratulate and welcome him to the team.